Hey everybody, we're back. Brand new Cabral HouseCall. Can't wait to get into today's questions. Hopefully you tuned in yesterday. That was episode 3193. If you want to follow along today, head on over to stephencabral.com/3194. That's where all of the questions will be. As I said, I don't do any prep work for the weekend shows. My team does an amazing job putting all the questions together on one sheet. I open it up right before we begin to film, and then I answer your question just as if we were to bump into each other. You shared your story with me at a coffee shop or at RHS, and I give you my experience, my thoughts, but of course, no medical cures, medical diagnosis, medical treatment plans, or medical advice of any kind. All right. So that is the goal, to share with you 25 years of experience working with hundreds of thousands of people, well over 500,000 labs, and just saying, this is what we've seen, this is what we know to work, and we want the best for you and your family. All right. That's truly what it's all about. Okay. Your question will take about 12 weeks to get answered. If you ask at stephencabral.com/askcabral to be read live on the show and answered, feel free to leave it there. But if you want same day answers to your questions, head on over to cabralsupportgroup.com and ask right there. All right. First question, just opened up the doc, is from Mary. Mary says, "Hi, Dr. Bral. I live in northern New York State. We cannot get any at-home lab tests except hair sample tests. How accurate are these? We also do not have any functional medicine practices near us. I have lupus and Hashimoto's, and my husband and my daughter both have digestive issues. I don't know where to start, but I want my family healed. We do eat mostly whole food and organic diet and strain train regularly." All right. Yeah, that is the issue. It's been going on for over 30 years, I believe, in the state of New York, at least 25 that I know of. And they don't ship any at-home lab tests to the state of New York, which is really too bad. It has nothing to do with Equalife or any of the other companies. They just can't ship them there. So let's answer your first question. The minerals and metals test, the hair tissue mineral analysis that we use by Equalife, is extremely accurate. It's the same one used for FBI, for NASA, for PubMed-based testing for heavy metals in women when pregnancy. So it's been around for many, many decades, a lot of research behind it. But I did a show on the inaccuracy, and I just don't like I don't like these things going on in the industry of, I don't know a nice way to say it, like fake, egregious, profits above people, not doing the right thing, hair tests. So I'm just going to give you the show and you learn about it. So let's see, where is it? Well, if you go to stephencabral.com/podcast, you will be able to find that show, and it goes over essentially a dubious hair testing test that looks at food sensitivities in your hair and parasites in your hair, and you can't find it there. So it's too bad. But anytime that something starts to become more popular, this is what's going to happen, and it will pop up. All right. I can't find it here in the notes, but again, if you want to find it, you can always just go to cabralsupportgroup.com and you're able to ask there, or at stephencabral.com/podcasts. Okay. So the other thing that you can do, though, is you can look up integrative health practitioner or functional medicine doctor in your area in New York, and you can work directly with them. And then as a New York resident in office, you're able to run a lot of the labs that you would like. Okay. It just has to be done in office. All right. Okay. Let's get to our next question. Got a little thrown off now that I was trying to find that for you, but it's all good. We will find that show, any show that you ever need. If you can't find it at stephencabral.com/podcast using the search box, literally just ask at cabralsupportgroup.com. Michelle and Daniel over there, they're amazing at finding podcasts for you, and Cassie as well. All right. Lena is up next, and Lena says, "Hi, Dr. Bral. Thanks so much for helping us maintain our good health. I have two questions. After fasting for more than 24 hours, when I eat my first meal, my throat literally hurts when I swallow food. This happens every single time. What could be causing this, and what can I do to avoid the discomfort? The pain goes away after the first meal of fasting. Blessings to you and your team. Will adding beet powder," second question, "will adding beet powder to my electrolytes drink break my fast?" Okay, so well, some people, believe it or not, it doesn't usually happen after 24 hours. It's more like usually 5 days. It's not atrophy, but their body is literally not used to swallowing. It's not used to using those muscles in the same way to move the food down the esophagus because you've only been consuming liquid. So oftentimes, and this is actually what they recommend in Ayurveda, but usually not until a 5-day fast, is you break the fast with liquid. So you can break it with liquid, or you can actually eat some very easy to digest fruit. For you, seems like it might be better for you to start with either a smoothie or something where it's a little easier for you to swallow and digest down that food. I can't think of another reason off the top of my head, except that your esophagus needs to get used to using those muscles to move the food down, as it hadn't been doing that for about 24 hours a day or so. So that's my recommendation just to start with. Again, oftentimes in other countries and cultures, they'll break it with soup or smoothie or just some fruit. All right, easy to digest fruit. Okay, and then I have a whole podcast on what breaks a fast and doesn't break a fast. Again, we can find that for you at cabralsupportgroup.com. But beet powder is long, and there shouldn't be a lot of carbs in that powder, will not break your fast. So you can add that beet powder if you'd like. Beet powder helps with antioxidants, nitric oxide production, etc. All right, Mark's up next. Hi, Stephen. It's Mark from Australia. Thank you so much for your podcast. You've changed my life for the better. Happy to hear that, Mark. Appreciate you as a listener. I have a lipoma half the size of a golf ball on the back of my neck right near the spine. I've had 3 taken out from the same spot previously, but it keeps growing back. Would there be a cause as to why it grows there in the first place? Since close to my spine, I'm thinking of taking it out again. What's your opinions on this? Thanks for all your work, Stephen. Appreciate you. Okay, happy to help, Mark. So it's one of the most common places to get a lipoma. If you don't know what a lipoma is, it is a non-cancerous formation of a tumor, basically, but it's made out of fat cells, adipose tissue. And so it can happen so there is some components, right? There's always some component, obviously, to genetics. Some people are more prone to them. But oftentimes it happens with trauma or injury. And I've also seen it happen with low thyroid. Seen it happen with diabetes. So there's other metabolic factors that have to do with this as well. And what I would do is, if you do have this one removed, or even if you don't, just make sure you're in good biomechanical structure. So have a chiro near you, or a physio look at your ear to shoulder to hip to knee to ankle, draw a plumb line, make sure you're in proper order, that you have good mobility of what's called the cervical vertebrae. Those are the vertebrae of the neck, and then the thoracic vertebrae, which is mid-back as well. So just make sure that everything is in good working order. I wonder if you've ever had trauma there, or whiplash, or got hit, or playing sports, and it continues to grow back in that area. So it would be something worth at least exploring, because besides that, again, I've seen it with more hormonal, some hormonal, definitely low thyroid, definitely imbalanced blood sugar, higher blood sugar, and trauma. So I know that probably wasn't the best of help, but hopefully that gets you started. Okay, let's see. Natalie's up next. Natalie says, hi, Dr. Ball. I'm 27 years old, and since my period started, they occur around on a 35 to 40 day cycle. Is this something you would deem an imbalance that needs to be corrected? I've also suffered with crashes and fatigue for the last 3 years. Do you think the two can be related? Okay. So 27, and since my period started, they've already occurred. No, I mean, some women have a longer cycle. So we say, well, like average, not even normal, but average is 28 days. But some women, it's 26 or 27. Some, it's 30 to maybe 31, 32. 35 to 40 is a longer cycle. There's no doubt about it. Again, I've been doing this for a couple decades. And I can say that if you've always had 35 to 40 days, that may just be you. It is a longer cycle. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's unhealthy or imbalanced. What we would want to do, though, is we want to verify that. So we would run what's called, well, ideally we'll run the Big Five. So just StephenCabral.com/shop takes you over to EqualLife. That's our functional medicine practice, our integrative health practice. And you could look at the Big Five labs. And if you just wanted to run one just on your hormones, of course, you could run what's called the stress, mood, and metabolism test. And that would really give you the best indicator as to, do you really just have lower and longer progesterone production? Meaning like, okay, we don't even know. Like, we don't know, are you ovulating on days 14 or like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere around there? Or is ovulation in your cycle? And you can look for the signs and symptoms of ovulation. Is that more day like 20? Because you literally may just have a longer cycle and everything may be balanced. You just have a longer, what's called follicular phase in the beginning, and a longer luteal phase. So look up the symptoms of ovulation and see if you're ovulating closer, instead of days 13, 14, 15 or so, if you're ovulating closer to maybe, say, day 17 to 20. And that would be interesting as well, because that just might mean, again, you might have a longer cycle, but run that stress hormone metabolism test. That's where I would start if this was my wife, my daughter asking me this same question. All right, let's see. We've got another question here today, and it's from Anonymous. And Anonymous says, hello, I was listening to your answer about plant-based cheesecake not being the best option for dessert, and I'm wondering what you would recommend as dessert on a daily basis. Are there any healthy desserts? When should they be eaten? And what do you and your family have for dessert? Thanks for all you do. Okay, great question. So I don't remember specifically saying that about plant-based cheesecake, but it's not that it's plant-based. It's just that cheesecake is usually loaded with calories, loaded with fat, loaded with sugar, and not ideal anytime, but certainly not ideal after a meal, right? Because when you combine fat and high sugar, typically keeps those blood sugar levels elevated longer and just leads to more fat storage. So like every once in a while, plant-based cheesecake, no problem. Like whatever you like to do. I'm not going to say that you can't ever have a cheat meal or flex meal, because I do. So how often do I have one? Twice a week maximum. That's me. That works for me, but doesn't work for everybody. Some people want to have more, and that's totally fine. So I'll typically do a Friday night with my family. We'll go out to dinner, or lately we've just been making dinner. My wife's making dinner, and we just have a fun dessert or fun dinner, whatever it might be, pastas and all sorts of bread, things like that we just enjoy. And then on Sunday during football season, I'll often have something, on a Sunday. So that's kind of how I do it. And then what about during the week? Well, so we try not to do dessert Monday through Thursday. And for my daughters as well. My wife and I, we don't, but for my daughters, we don't. And the reason is that you start to train your body that you always need something sweet to end the day. And it's the time of the day that you're the least active as well. So we try not to do that. So Monday through Thursday, no desserts. That's just not what we do. So if we have sorbet or we have gelato, or we have anything like that in the house, we don't have it. And so that's just kind of letting you know where we are. But what will we do? Like just say like, oh, well, they really want something. And we're like, okay, you can have something. Because again, we're normal people, right? So we're not like overly strict. But we try to train them with good habits so that after dinner doesn't mean that you need something sugar, right? So what might we have? Okay. Well, we have popsicles with all natural fruit-based juices. It's under 8 grams of sugar, watermelon pops, just all organic, popsicles basically. We also will have chocolate. So in our family, sometimes you're like, I really want something, whatever it might be, just some chocolate. Now we're giving our kids 82% dark chocolate. Typically, no, they're not enjoying that, but 70%, 72%, yes, they'll have a square of dark chocolate and that can satisfy them. And that might be great for you as well on a nightly basis. If you want to have some dark chocolate on a nightly basis, for the most part, low calorie, low glycemic index, very high in polyphenols, antioxidants, can be overall healthy. So I won't have an issue with that. So hopefully that answered your question. When in doubt, good dark chocolate, organic, no fillers, anything like that. It can be a great choice. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you everybody for writing in. It was fast. I mean, that was great. So we answered Mary and Lena and Mark and Natalie and Anonymous's question each and every weekend, answering our community's questions. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new Mindset and Motivation Monday. The best way to start the week for the Cabral concept. Take care, everybody. Appreciate you. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.